What's he plotting? Diablo gave Vega a narrowed look. Phew. He's merely striving to stay alive, isn't he? It's a futile delay, but I'll go along with your game. Diablo, refusing complacency, avoids the mistakes Vega expects. Having carefully assessed Vega's capabilities during the Labyrinth isolation's final stage, Diablo now knows the limit point. The challenge is to make Vega disappear completely, but a complication arises. There's a possibility of Vega reviving from branched cells even if the main body is destroyed. It's likely that Vega's evil dragon king Azidahaka will be passed on, carrying the information about Zelenus' dark cells. Even if we eliminate him now, the surviving evil dragon spawn may revive, giving rise to a new Vega. Diablo bitterly understood why Tensura spared Vega. To avoid repeating that mistake, he needed to ensure Vega's defeat was final. There were two key concerns: protecting Mai from being targeted by Vega and anticipating unpredictable moves from a cornered Vega. While pondering this, Benimaru contacted him via telepathy net. The floor aims to isolate Vega, but we've decided to start anew. I agree with that. Any other issues? Benimaru comprehends the situation on the large screen. Despite that, it's challenging to gauge the ground-level sentiments, so he seeks Diablo's perspective. Ramiris' approach is to address even the smallest concerns. Well, you see, if we leave this matter unattended, there's a significant risk of it being taken over by the evil dragon spawn heading for the lower level. We need to eliminate it preemptively to prevent that. The strategy suggests swiftly defeating foes like Vega to prevent them from gaining additional power. Diablo refrained from doing so due to Tensura's mistake of letting him go, acknowledging the troublesome nature of Vega. Diablo understands the importance of decisively dealing with challenging opponents, even if it takes time. Facing three resurrected evil dragons spawned simultaneously, they seem to grow stronger, possibly due to Vega sharing more power. The one heading for the lower level may not be as invulnerable, being far from the main body. He's quite troublesome. I understand. Diablo reflects. Benimaru faced a dilemma in the current situation. Observing Diablo's dominance over Vega, Benimaru contemplated a new strategy. After Diablo defeats Vega, Benimaru plans to dismantle the isolation labyrinth. This way, even if Vega revives, he won't be able to return to the labyrinth. Once the labyrinth isolation is complete, monitoring on the screen will be impossible. Before reaching that point, Benimaru intends to coordinate with Diablo. He realizes he had been somewhat naive in his initial approach. Okay, got it. You handle that, we'll wait for your update. With these words, Diablo ended the telepathy net connection with Benimaru. Then with an indifferent expression, he began to diminish Vega's power. Dino, initially fighting with great vigor, gradually lost energy as the number of evil dragons spawn increased from 2 to 3. There seems to be no end to this. Dino, slashing down and attacking evil dragon spawn, expressed his frustration. Vega's attempt to control the labyrinth, partially successful, meant Ramiris was in the process of isolating from the 61st to the 90th levels. This extended Vega's control, allowing the evil dragon spawn to revive endlessly as long as energy didn't run out. Notably, they seemed to be growing stronger, even though they were easily killed before. Despite the limited number of evil dragon spawn, other troublesome aspects emerged. When Dino fired a concentrated mana bullet at the second one, it only left a hole in its chest. Zegion offered advice at that moment. The release technique is futile. You're essentially aiding your enemy. Zegion, the strongest guardian in the labyrinth, understood its nature and knew what actions to avoid. Dino realized. Diablo, too, confronted Vega solely with physical blows. It became clear that, since Vega was in sync with the isolating labyrinth, all energy released within it was captured. Although Dino had a good guess, he lacked the ability to infer without being told, unlike Diablo and Zegion. Despite Dino's considerable magicule, knowing that the energy merely flowed to Vega made the situation less interesting. Really? So Vega is the only one protected by the labyrinth? Zegion silently nodded in agreement. If that's the case, it implies that Dino and the others can't conclude their battle unless they defeat Vega itself. Dino felt disheartened. The evil dragon spawn, with its ability to regenerate endlessly until it ran out of energy, approached him, steadily growing stronger. Even someone other than Dino might find themselves sighing. The only consolation was that evil dragon spawn had no level, otherwise, it would have been more challenging, like Velgrin's split body. Regardless of the potential futility, they had to confront it. Dino reluctantly chose to engage the evil dragon spawn with only his 2 swords. Simultaneously, he asked Ramiris if there were any weaknesses in her labyrinth. Hey, Ramiris, does your labyrinth have any vulnerabilities? Tell me, otherwise, we'll never be able to finish defeating it. He discreetly employed telepathy net to show some consideration, but it wasn't straightforward. Given Ramiris' current lack of time, their response was somewhat curt. I'm not a fool. My labyrinth has no weak points. Don't be arrogant. Vega took your supposedly invincible labyrinth away. I haven't lost it. I'm just imperfectly imitating your authority because of the isolation process. You fool. That's why we're struggling. Dino's twin swords shimmered as he conversed with Ramiris. Simultaneously, one of the evil dragon spawn vanished into dust. Despite his complaints, Dino's technique impressed Ramiris. Great job, Dino. Diablo and Benimaru are talking about the attacker. If we don't eliminate it, Vega could seize control. Ramiris' explanation was a bit vague, but Dino grasped the situation. I get it. That's why Diablo was getting ready for this. Diablo carefully wielded his magic against Vega in battle, leaving Dino perplexed by Diablo's hesitation despite having the power to defeat Vega. Dino wondered why Diablo didn't take the opportunity for a final blow, realizing it would only prolong the situation until Ramiris and others were dealt with. In response, Dino's holy and magic swords radiated contrasting auras as he skillfully fought the evil dragon spawn, eventually switching to an energy-saving mode due to the lack of progress. Realizing the prolonged struggle, he turned to Pico and Gracia without glancing back. It's taking longer than expected. Could you lend me a hand? Pico and Gracia transformed, equipped with the divine spirit armament, and were fully empowered. They eagerly accepted the request. At last, my moment has come. Dino can't handle this alone. I'm here to assist you. From the start, the two were ready to assist, joining the fight with light-hearted comments. Taking a form similar to Dino's, the trio supported each other against the instinct-driven evil dragon spawn, which now surpassed them in existence value. Fighting with only a sword to save energy proved more mentally taxing than expected. Dino wisely sought cooperation without showing off. The collaboration between Dino and the other three, Gracia with Aegis for defense and Pico providing support, proved excellent. Despite the stronger evil dragon spawn, the trio easily repelled the attacks. Dino's swordsmanship, Gracia's shield handling, and Pico's situational judgment worked seamlessly, allowing them to fight tirelessly. Although apotheoses could have repercussions if prolonged, Dino and his companions could endure and fight for hours. Just when I thought my concerns were over, I received a telepathy net message from Ramiris. Oh, right. The labyrinth's isolation means you won't be able to monitor it once it's fully completed. Is that so? Dino tried to brush it off, but Ramiris' next comment caught him off guard. Which also means I'll be out of power, doesn't it? What might be a natural consequence for Ramiris came as a shock to Dino. What? Does that mean the resurrection bracelet effect will also vanish? Of course, it will. Hey, then how do we plan to escape after the isolation is over? Ramiris had earlier explained that the hierarchy of the isolation process would be purged, and staying in that place might lead to wandering in the space-time void with Vega. Concerned, Dino asked Ramiris about their plan. Oh, Benimaru will go there when the time is right, Ramiris replied, explaining that they intended to connect the space with Benimaru's space-time manipulation to enable everyone's escape. Dino was anxious about the success of this impromptu attempt. Is it really that simple? Can you truly execute it effectively? It's not about whether we can do it but whether we will do it. It's the only way to get out of here, Dino conceded, realizing there was no point in asking more questions. If Ramiris said it was the only way, then it was. Their only task now was to ensure the operation's success. After concluding the communication with Ramiris, Dino briefed everyone on the situation, a conversation he didn't have much time for amidst the ongoing battle. So, please maintain the status quo. Well, at least we can foresee the future. Yeah, I guess so. I feel we're in trouble if we provoke Vega any further. Diablo will handle it. With timing being crucial, nobody argued. Even if there were complaints, there was no alternative but to comply. In this situation, Mai, supporting from the back, asked nonchalantly, "Well, what about me?" Thinking she could easily escape with her own authority, she attempted to point it out, but the coordination between the three of them was so precise that Mai couldn't interfere. Dino's proposal surprised her. As someone who enjoyed resting even when he shouldn't, he believed Mai should rest when possible. Gesturing towards Zegion's group, he gently advised her, "Mai, stay there. Zegion will protect you, so cover us from there. Right? It's not safe to move forward." "Well, we'll handle this." The decision was made, and Mai stood next to a Pico, trusting Dino and the others. I'd like to give a big shout out to my top Patreon supporters: Carl Stefan Bernadel, Big Boy J, Cheesebean, Kevin Matthew, Davon, Carito, Jason Torres, and Edward Balestream. I also want to acknowledge our top commenter of the week. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll be back with more content soon, so make sure to hit that subscribe button.